Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining the webinar series, Augmented Underwriting, that we're hosting in partnership with Verisk. And yeah, thank you all for joining. We'll get started now. And just before we hand it off to the speakers who'll be talking about this topic, just wanted to give you a quick overview of our organization. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we're in InsurTech, New York. We run many different programs to help connect stakeholders in the insurance innovation space. We run different startup programs like InsurTech Match Program, MJ Lab. We also run different conferences and events and webinar series like this one. And we also invest in early stage companies as well. And this is our calendar for the next, I guess, 9 to 12 months. We actually have another webinar coming up, which I'll talk about a little bit, and some other public events. And then these are some of the other private events we host that are related to corporate innovation program and different accelerators. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me or my team, and happy to help you. And hopefully you guys are all signed up for our newsletter, and so you'll be updated in all of our upcoming events. Just a couple, announcements on some of the upcoming events. So we have our next webinar series is going to be on flexibility and how to create like a flexible operating system in insurance, and it will be October 9th with our partnership with Neotologic. So hopefully you guys can join for that one. And then in November, we have a public event on future of distribution. It's actually a combination of speed dating with InsurTechs and also a debate. And it should be a really fun event. We'll be talking about would AI replace, live agents and brokers and things like that. And so, it should be a fun event. And hopefully, you guys can join us for that one. This is going to be in New York. And finally, we have our annual conference coming up. This is our, I think, sixth time doing it. The next year is March 31st in Chelsea Piers in New York. And, we are InsurTech community. So obviously everything that we do has some, connection with technology. But really, when it comes to any kind of business process or trying to help the insurance industry innovate, there's a human side to it. And so we're going to actually focus on that side. It's not just all AI and technology. There's a human side to every innovation. So we'll be actually focusing a lot of our content on that. And there is a early bird. So early bird. I know this actually. I should update the date. There's another second layer early bird still happening, so you can get a pretty decent discount if you go to our website right now. I think it's like 35% off at least. All right, so now without further ado, I want to introduce our panelists here, and Saul, Vikash, and Nicole. They'll be kind of doing their own introduction, but they'll be deep diving and doing sort of like a dialogue, fireside chat on augmented underwriting. And so, yeah, please, Saul, Vikash, Nicole, please take it away. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, just quick intro. Saul Flores, Vice President. I lead product growth at Verisk within our underwriting services area. Right now, really focused on commercial lines, but my background is in corporate innovation, building new products, building new businesses, and a lot of it has had to do with AI and associated technologies over the last few years. Really excited into it with these co-panelists.
Awesome. Thanks, Saul. Hey, everyone. I'm Vikash Katari from the Anthropic team, covering our financial services along with supporting the lovely Verisk team. I've been in the AI and tech space for well over a decade now and working with financial services firms and insurance companies for a very long time, large, medium, and small. So, really excited to be here and looking forward to connecting with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicole Ritchie. I lead our commercial Gen AI underwriting assistant at Verisk. I've been in the industry for 20 years, 9 of those now focused at Verisk. And it's my real honor to lead our commercial generative AI work that's happening within our underwriting division of the business. And what makes our work really unique, it's really that it's built by underwriters for underwriters. And our mission is reimagining an AI first workflow, helping our broad base of commercial P&C clients to address their most, pressing challenges while unlocking those new opportunities we're hearing about for efficiency and growth. I am delighted to join the discussion today, and we're excited to share some of the insights that we're seeing across the industry in this opportunity space. So, to get us started, I'd like to turn to Saul. Saul, automation and augmentation are terms that are used a lot, but it can mean really different things to different people. Could you help us frame the conversation by sharing what augmented really means, and then just as importantly, what it doesn't mean in underwriting?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, when we say augmented, I want to start by being really clear. Underwriting is something that people do. And especially in commercial lines, underwriting is a people driven process. Relationships matter a lot. There's no such thing as a perfect file or a perfect property you're ever going to get. You're always going to need to be strategic and creative and work through the relationship to find the right fit. So what it does mean is, it doesn't mean that people are going away. What it does mean is that the underwriting role should become elevated. So what do we mean by elevated? When we think of the underwriting role, what we really want that role to be about is business development. We want it to be about relationship management. We want it to be about tackling emerging risks and really thinking about what that means in terms of your relationships and your book of business and how to process that going forward. And if you look at, an underwriter's day and the time they spend, they're going to be spending a lot of time on things that are not those things. They're going to be spending a lot of time on data entry and getting two systems to talk together and copying this info from here to there and try to match this record with that record. And so, what we want is just to do those things that underwriters are already doing, those higher value, more human elements, more of their time, and to be doing those in a smarter way. And so when we look at that, the outcome here is we want faster speed to market, and that's what's going to be the growth driver in our business. We want better accuracy so that we're not making, the avoidable underwriting errors that lead to, losses on our books. We want different operating models that we can start to drive our expense ratios in the right direction. And I think, why there's been so much appetite and adoption of AI in the last few years and Gen AI in the last few years in our industry is because those aren't goals that are coming out of left field. It's not like a technology came and now we're looking for a problem to solve. Those are the problems that when we talk with leaders and at carriers, across all lines, those are problems they're trying to solve. I need speed to market. I need growth. I need better decision making. We also know that there's a lot of talent challenges that people are facing. There's people who are, coming into the workforce and need to get to speed faster. And so we see this as, technology that really aligns with the problems that were already at the top of the list for executives in our industry. I think that's why it's been such an exciting topic with so much traction right now. I know, Vikash, when we were talking about this in prep, I don't want to steal your line, but you were talking about this perfect marriage idea. Do you want to just add on to how you see this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the whole notion of like what we try and talk to a lot of our customers about is how do we evolve from pilot to production, and just really starting small where you can see the ROI immediately and then evolve from there. And so we'll go into a lot more detail on how to get started, but I think that the key is, there's real value to be seen, and the winners are going to be the ones that execute fast and go to market fast. And so this is a game of speed, and I think that everything you outlined, Saul, I would echo. And I think it's just a matter of going to production and sort of taking the training wheels off, I guess, would be the best analogy I could share. Um, one question we get a lot at Anthropic, and for those, by the way, who may not know Anthropic, we are the company that powers the family of models named Claude. So you might use Claude, analogous to the ChatGPT in your world. We have a family of different models, but in particular, very strong with analytical sense. But we get a lot of questions around, are you just going to remove human and workers entirely, or like what does this mean for the future? And so the reality is, to echo Saul's point even more, is there's always going to be a human in the loop. Think of AI as that additional superhero or superpower that you now have that's just going to accelerate everything you can do to focus more time on those higher value tasks that Saul mentioned around business development, relationship management, and really thinking strategically about your book of business. So, yeah, just sort of, pivoting from there, I'm curious to kind of ask you, Nicole, like, what are your thoughts on how we balance automation with that human expertise?
Yeah, so I think it's the pivotal question of the year. which I think we're really going to see shift more towards automation in 26 and 27 and beyond. But for context, I want to highlight the first shift, which we call like classic AI to generative AI, which really the industry saw kind of largely taking place in like 2023. And the difference between those types of AI is really important for our industry. With classic AI, as you know, you have a data set, you have an algorithm, and if the data set is the same, then the algorithm is the same, and you're going to get that same answer. And that kind of predictability model, I think, really fits well with a regulated industry like insurance. But Gen AI works differently. It's looking for patterns, it's making probability based judgments, and it's creating new content, which means if you're asking the same question multiple times, you may not always get the same answer. And sometimes differences like that can be very significant. So for a regulated industry like ours, I think that type of uncertainty around Gen AI is really that, new type of risk that's being introduced. And as a result, I think the industry has really treated generative AI more as an advisory tool initially, something that is supporting human decision making rather than replacing it. And we saw this beginning to take shape more prevalently in 2023 from our vantage point with our customers across the industry, with models where classic AI is kind of providing that kind of known structure and reliability, while generative AI brought in this flexibility and new knowledge base and new insights that you could bring to your workflow. So together, I think supporting business questions and now suggesting answers and beginning to automate parts of a process. But that human underwriting expert is still very much in the loop. And to illustrate the balance, I would consider, our underwriting assistant, Verisk's AI tools, really a true assistant. It's capable of doing a lot of the heavy the lifting, all the mundane tasks, and then providing credible insights and support without having a final say on business decisions. So we're leveraging those foundational large language models or LLMs to really improve your efficiency. We're doing unstructuring data processing, so forms, loss runs, statements of value, email, all of that compiling into a comprehensive commercial property submission. This is commonly known as the ingestion use case, and that's what everybody has been after. But generative AI also helps us to deliver hyper relevant interactions into a customer's workflow by combining specific customer knowledge bases or Verisk's knowledge base. Things like maybe insurers' underwriting guidelines and the risk appetite, so that your human can be assisted with subject matter expertise. And that really allows your traditional underwriting knowledge worker, really your human underwriting team, to access advisory information as quickly as possible within a specific submission, which ultimately just leads to more profitable underwriting within an insurer's guidelines. So I think there's a lot to wrap it up. I think for 2025 and 2026, balancing automation with human expertise is really about leveraging Gen AI as a tool to enhance your human decision making rather than replacing it. Our goal is really to leverage the technology to allow underwriters to touch more submissions, improve time to decision, bring judgment to more of a portfolio than you could ever do before. And the human in the loop really maintains accountability through that process, ensuring that while AI automation can help to enhance efficiency and drive innovation, that the final decisioning really rests with that human that's in the loop, and that we can respect the regulatory requirements of our industry. I think the question is whether all that specificity and efficiency is really delivering value yet. So I don't know, Vikash, maybe we could transition to your perspective on real world examples of, improved risk selection, or what are you seeing? What is Anthropic seeing on workflow speed improvement?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a ton of success in this area, and I think it's just going to continue to expand in 2026. I would say, I always like to tell my team, like Gen AI and insurance were almost like a match made in heaven. You've got like, messy data scattered everywhere across multiple systems, manual processes that haven't changed since like the 80s. documents that look like they were, faxed through a blender almost. And Gen AI looks at all of this and like it's Christmas morning, like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And so I think it's like because of that, there's just so much concrete ROI and data that we're able to see immediately with our customers. And I think from our perspective, it really, has bucketed into two main areas. One, you mentioned, Nicole, was kind of the workflow speed improvement area. So when we look at things like commercial lines, we're seeing 20 to 40% reduction in underwriting across commercial carriers. Document processing is another huge one. What used to take hours or weeks, like Accord and SOV ingestion, now happens in minutes. One carrier even compressed their annual portfolio reviews, which I know everyone loves, from 6 weeks down to just 1 week. And so when you start to experience these like tangible moments of, aha, wow, this is so much better. I can free my time to kind of focus on higher value tasks. That's just really when that light bulb goes off, and we're continuing to see that across the board again, whether it's small, medium, or large. The other area I would say is just hidden risk detection, and our models of, I'm sure a lot of models are good at this, but I think cloud models in particular, in partnership with Verisk, have done, great risk detection across a couple of areas. One might be occupancy issues. So Gen AI, if for one of our customers, caught 15% more cases where properties were misclassified like office buildings that were actually mixed use retail. Things like geographic clustering. We flagged wildfire exposures clusters that manual review missed. And so we reduced potential losses by 25%. And so you start to extrapolate those numbers out and you see, what the actual concrete, tangible benefits are from implementing these solutions. But we never want to scare anyone away, with Gen AI, because we know it's a very large thing that people are. It's like Zoom or die as Doom, not die. My apologies. Um, and so what we always like to say is like, let's just start small and take a very logical crawl, walk, run approach. And so, you know, for example, starting small, what does that mean? In the first 3 months, just focus on document digitation. Get all your documents digitized and focus on submission completeness, checking before it hits your underwriters. That will just immediately give you like 30 to 50% time savings. Phase two, do things like add risk scoring and preliminary recommendations. Deploy anomaly detection for financials and risk characteristics. And then phase three, when you're ready to really get into full integration, think about deploying portfolio level analytics for strategic risk management and enabling predictive modeling for loss forecasting and pricing. And Verisk is here, we're here, all as partners to kind of guide you through this process. But I think just to reinforce the bottom line, it's all about starting small, find your willing underwriters, and pilot with favorable risk types. Of course, measure everything because you will quickly see an improvements in speed and quality from day one, and then iterate fast. Don't just kind of take what you see for granted. Have weekly feedback loops with your underwriting team and evolve from there. And I'm confident from what I've seen that this approach and what we've heard from other executives is going to be a home run.
Yeah, it's come on in, the water's fine, right? Let's just get started.
I just think that's so important, Prakash, what you said is this question of, is it real? Are the benefits real? And I think what we're able to see now when you're partnering with multiple organizations is that it's not just one company's able to do this or two, it's several are starting to do the same kind of pattern. And I think that's what's really different when we sit here, towards the end of 2025 versus a year ago or 2 years ago is I think the answer is very much, you're seeing people get there and it can be done. If it can be done once, it can be done again. And I think we're building momentum. That's what's very exciting to me about the spot we're in right now.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm constantly watching the clock. I think in the interest of time, I'd like to maybe give our audience a peek into perspectives on, what we're thinking about, what you guys are thinking about on a few dimensions. What was maybe the biggest highlight of the year, and maybe what you're looking forward to most, for forward looking for the next year. I will just quickly start by sharing. I think that our industry has witnessed this really remarkable transformation in AI and, really the past year, right? Now everyone is out and we're doing things. And from my vantage point, seeing this pivotal shift from what I call a subtle AI approach, where AI is kind of subtly integrated into, processes here and there, maybe like smaller Gen AI parts to your broader strategy, and really to this more pervasive and integrated AI presence. We're seeing AI agents that are really functioning as digital colleagues within our own workflows, which is incredibly exciting, and those of our customers in the industry. And I'm excited to see what happens as, the transition from merely responding to human prompts. So I know we're going to have some challenge there while we, raise questions, critical questions about accountability with AI agents and how they make decisions. And that's going to be really essential, to determine who holds the responsibility for automation there. But what I think I'm most looking forward to is really kind of the pace of this transformation is truly impressive. And I think as an industry, we often kind of underestimate our own progress. And I think, yes, we're in the early stages and we saw a lot of people jumping into that race. And I think, I would anticipate that kind of rapid advancement over the next year, and most looking forward to just exploring all of this with our customers and with the industry. But knowing the richness of this conversation really does come from collective experiences. Maybe Saul, I'll go to you first, and you can highlight, summary of the year and then what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think this has really been a year where the spirit has shifted. I really applaud the insurance industry as a whole for jumping at Gen AI and this opportunity when it kind of started becoming popularized a few years ago. And that's not always been the pattern in our industry. We have challenges with adopting new technologies that are very real, and we have some cultural challenges as well about just, we have this track record. Like everybody jumped out of their chair and said, how can we start to learn? And they wanted to learn in a very hands-on way. So I rarely talk to anybody carrier now who isn't saying, yes, we've done some POCs, we've done some pilots, we've looked at different vendors for things. And so I think that's fantastic. And I think what we now need to do, the advantage now is that it's not all discovery. Like there are answers to a lot of these questions. Like what are the use cases? What does that workflow look like? How do we stitch together, this technology with that one? And how does this actually add up? And what results should we get? Like you don't actually have to go discover that you're by yourself. There are people out there in the industry like Verisk, like Anthropic, that know some of these answers, help you go a lot faster. And so I think that's the thing I'm excited about is let's keep that spirit of let's get after it and let's try it, and couple that now with the assurance that there's people out there to help you, and there's some very clear answers and some really strong support to get this done and get it to scale. That's what I'm excited about. Like I think, we all want to live in this world where we are faster to market, we are making fewer errors, and we do have these operational efficiencies because our industry needs it. And I think we're really well positioned to get there very, very quickly now. So that's what I'm excited about. Is I love the POC spirit, and I really want to keep that going and shift that now to same energy, but let's put that into scale, and let's do that just as quickly as we did, at the very start of this journey.
Execution. It's the name of the game. I love it. No, I'll just maybe wrap up with a few thoughts. I think, what I'm really excited about this year, we talk a lot at Anthropic of, Claude has historically always been this notion of a virtual assistant. Again, similar to the world of like a chat GPT or a chatbot. What we're seeing now is that Claude is really graduating to what we're calling a virtual collaborator, where it is starting to do, hours and hours of autonomous work on behalf of a user. And that could come in the shape of, autonomously coding for 7 hours, could come in the form of, hey, I'm going to go ahead and create this long PowerPoint deck for you, or this very rich discounted cash flow model in Excel. Just give me the simple prompt and I'll go do it directly. That is actually happening and live now. And I think this whole notion of Claude graduating, or AI in general, graduating to this notion of becoming like your right hand, think of them as your virtual collaborator. Bringing that to life, I think, is just going to be so transformative for any industry, but particularly in insurance. I think it's going to be a game changer. So,
Yeah, the Excel thing, I'm very excited about. I shudder to think how many errors are out there and just critical Excel models people have made by hand the old-fashioned way. I think that alone is such an unlock. And again, in underwriting, like how much of that do we do? Like how much are we just processing a statement of values that's in some spreadsheet or building, report of like this is so relevant. I think it's gonna be fantastic.
All right. Well, I think we're close to our 30 minutes. So maybe we could move into just kind of final thoughts from the group. Maybe Saul, if I start with you.
Yeah, I mean, one thought that I have is again on that topic of that we built the POC spirit and the pilot spirit. How do we shift that now to the scale spirit? And I think a lot of that it is going to be engineering and product team led. But when you're thinking about it from like a business executive point of view, or thinking about it organizationally, what needs to change? So a few things that I'd say we've seen work well is you need to stop thinking about this topic as a little project or kind of a side team. And you need to really start integrating it into your overall business planning, your overall strategic initiatives, the overall way that you're achieving those high level goals of growth and accuracy and operational efficiency. When we see organizations that keep it as this kind of side thing that maybe tech owns or maybe data science owns, it doesn't go as far as fast. So if you are a business owner, or you're a business person or a business leader, this is your job too. And this is something that you really need to own and make it, endemic to the way that you're thinking and operating. I think if you can make that switch, you can start to enable your teams. And again, you can work with partners to make that switch. But that's my big advice is don't think of this as a sideline. This isn't a little experiment in a lab somewhere. Make this part of your overall plan, your overall strategy.
Yeah. Vikash, thoughts to add?
yeah, maybe I'll just close with like three kind of broad principles just from the successful implementations that I've seen. I think a lot of this was touched on earlier, but first and foremost, just starting with validation, focus on existing improved processes first. Like you have these mundane or broken processes, like start small, focus on those and validate those and then build from there. Um, I think it's a non-starter in the industry, but the second thing I'll call out is partner with folks that really care a lot about enterprise grade security. Nothing is more important than security and data. And so this is non-negotiable and partners like Verisk and Anthropic and others are really, great in the space and take it very seriously. And then I think the last thing I'll say just from working with so many of these customers is the human and AI feedback loops are absolutely essential. So, underwriters become that first line of model validation, and they're just the ones kind of, you know, supervising the process as or I like to call it. But they can, sort of step away and really just, like I said earlier, give every underwriter their Gen AI superhero, and they will be able to kind of, take it to the next level. So those are my thoughts.
Excellent.
Nicole, how about you?
Partner with experts, I think, just to, double down on Vikash's comment, experts like Verisk and Anthropic. And we are dedicated to pioneering advancement in AI, but also while ensuring that our approach is really grounded in responsible practice. And, we talk all the time, just we are acutely aware of the obligation that we hold towards our customers and regulators, our partners, and just the broader public, and that commitment to that highest standard of privacy and security. And I think you have to make sure that as I'm saying, jump in the water's fine. You have to test, the robustness of that infrastructure, and really keep that balance between pushing boundaries on innovation, but then maintaining that responsibility that the industry has come to expect. So, we have, Gen AI forums to engage with industry thought leaders and experts. We have model governance framework to underscore that commitment to responsible and ethical use of AI. We have strategic oversight bodies like our AI governance board and our data use councils, and all of that guides our strategy to ensure that alignment with industry standard and best practice. And I'd be remiss not to call out that we were very fortunate to collaborate deeply with model providers in this work. We're working hand in hand across the industry, and it's these strategic alliances that allow us to bring these Gen AI solutions to our customers. So shout out to Anthropic here with us today for not only aligning on vision, but aligning on really our aspiration to reshape the insurance workflow for the future. So thank you guys, two of my absolute favorite people. So hope it was educational and entertaining for our listeners. And Tony, I think that's a wrap on the discussion that we had planned.
Awesome. Thank you for very exciting discussion. Yeah, I can't wait to see how this entire segment unfolds. And yeah, we're I think thinking about the title. We call it augmented underwriting, and specifically augmented, not automated, right? And I think that's definitely good for us to be aware that hey, there's definitely human side to underwriting, at least for the time being. Who knows 10 years from now, but at least for the time being. So thank you, Saul, Nicole, and Vikash for the panel. And that's the wrap. We'll be sending out the recordings to all of you guys. So please watch out for that. And yeah, hope to see all of you on our next event. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.